We got to stop blaming home builders for the lack of supply of homes in the United States. Not really the builders' fault. There's a million reasons to not like home builders recently. Don't get me wrong, they did some pretty crazy shiplap stuff during the pandemic, but the lack of supply really isn't their fault. And we're going to be getting into that right now. Do you want to know the number one hurdle for home builders when it comes to building any home across the United States from East Coast to West Coast? It happens to be red tape. Whenever a home builder is deciding to start a development, it takes years of development and their own money for the very first home to be built. We're talking years of planning, voting between local boards. They go back and forth with infrastructure. Then when new people get elected, they have to go through a whole new process of kissing hands and shaking babies. It's absolutely insane what they have to go through just to build a house. Government bureaucracy for the win, always. There's times that I like when government meddles into things, when other times I really don't like it. I know a lot of people don't have a lot of empathy when it comes to home builders because they think they're just rolling in dough. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot of them that are making a ton of money, but they have to put a lot of money up front before they ever start building a house. If we brought down some of the oversight when it comes to building homes, especially in the development stage, our supply issue could get under control. Now, I will tell you this, that the government has said that they're looking in to be able to rezone instead of it being like commercial, and it would be turned into residential or multifamily, and they could be given government grants for it. It's still a very slow moving force. You know, anything with government, it takes forever. Just like getting anything approved for planning and zoning to have the development done in the first place. So that's just one of the reasons why the housing supply problem isn't the home builder's fault. It's time to take a look at this chart right here of how many homes that were actually built since the last housing crash. And you can see we're just not building enough homes right now. According to the National Association of Home Builders, we're only about 1.5 million homes short. According to the National Association of Realtors, they say we're between 3 million to 4 million homes short of the pent-up demand that people are wanting to purchase, especially with the median price of homes right now being over $400,000 and interest rates being at 8%.
On the other hand, we are still seeing that there is still ample demand for the product that they are selling.
And first-time home buyers are running the track. And most of those first-time home buyers, believe it or not, are millennials. So even the age of people buying their very first home is older, and they have a lot more money in their pocket, but they just can't find the affordable home to purchase. Building materials like this are costing a lot more than they did prior to the pandemic. Now, when you're dealing with a home builder, especially if they're a smaller home builder, that during the pandemic, they had all of these shortages of building materials, and you remember how much lumber went up. Of course, that made the price of the home go up as well. During that time, that's not when I really loved home builders because they were doing a lot of shady stuff. You guys remember when they were increasing home prices, even on people that already had a contract on their home. If you don't know this already, even in the worst of times, even in the best of times, you have your own addendums that come with the home builder. And once you start reading those, you're going to find out they only represent the home builder and not very easy for you to back out of the contract when you get into it. Now, in most cases, this really works out. You want to buy the house, the builder wants to sell it. But during the pandemic, there were so many delays because people were waiting for lumber, they were waiting for drywall, and that, of course, bit into some of the home builders' profit. Those supply chain issues don't seem to be a problem today, thank goodness, but that doesn't mean it can't be a problem in the future. And so home builders are still very wary on building an excess amount of homes, just in case housing market falls apart again. You can't really blame them for this. Concrete goes up and down, steel goes up and down, lumber goes up and down, and always the home prices are reflective of that. When you deal with the bigger builders, they don't seem to have as much of an issue because they go ahead and buy everything in bulk. But when you're dealing with smaller builders, they have to buy those building materials right when they're about to build the house. So whatever the market price is that time, that's going to be reflective to the cost of your home. But that's another reason for the shortage of supply. Builder sentiment is one of those things that comes out, and that tells you exactly how a builder's feeling about the housing market. Before the pandemic, they were not even feeling that great. They were actually kind of slowing down construction. And then the pandemic hit, and they literally said, I'm not building any more houses. We're afraid this is all going to come crumbling down, which ended up backfiring on a lot of home builders because, of course, you saw what happened. Interest rates were low, and then the demand blew up exponentially. And at that time, they were playing the catch-up game. And when you're trying to catch up on the pent-up demand that happened during COVID, that ended up backfiring on them. We had a lack of labor that was available to build these houses. So not only are home builders not really feeling great about the housing market, even though there's pent-up demand, they're having worse workers that are demanding more money, and building materials that are costing more money. It's costing them so much more than it used to just to put up a house. But builder sentiment is down once again. And then, of course, they're not going to build as many houses during that time because of the interest rates being so incredibly high. That's the reason they're stating that they're not going to be building as much. You can't really blame them because if they think that people aren't buying because of interest rates, why should they build them? And of course, every year they're trying to make a certain kind of number. They're not going to take a loss on the homes that they have. So unless we start incentivizing builders for tax credits, they're not going to be building them. Even the big builders, we can't really blame them for not wanting to build the houses and lose money. In order for a home builder to take the risk on putting a brand new development up, this is one of those times that I hate even saying the words because everybody cringes. The government has to give some kind of builder incentive, whether it's tax credit, rezoning, or cutting of red tape. Something needs to be given to them to give them the incentive for building new houses. Would have to be for homes that were under the median price. And in order for that to happen, they would also have to cut out the red tape because that, of course, costs them a lot of money up front. Even with that, some of the permitting could cost them, let's just say, half as much if they were building homes that were under the median price for that specific area. Now, these aren't laws that even exist or even programs that even exist, but it's a suggestion that Kristina Smallhorn is trying to push out there. And maybe we can even incentivize some of our local areas and our local governments. Because, I don't like to get political, but it doesn't matter who's in office. Congress is always slow. They have their own agenda, and it isn't worrying about the supply of houses on the market. That's for darn sure. So I have to tell you something really cool. If you are in the market of buying a house, home builders know that a lot of buyers have been holding off and putting themselves on the fence because they're waiting for interest rates to drop. Because home builders know this and they want to get their supply off their deck, especially as we're heading closer to the end of this year, they're offering a lot more incentives. So please take a look at new home construction. Even though it might be more expensive in your area to buy a new home over an existing home, they may offer incentives that it will make it all balance out. I'm talking incentives like closing costs. Even some of them are buying down your rate. So you would have it at that 5.56% interest rate instead of paying what currently right now it's just drifting over 8%. Look to see what they have to offer. Not only that, they're giving like upgrade packages as well, where they're giving you appliances when they normally wouldn't do that. Don't cross off new construction on your list because you think that, you can't afford it, because it just might end up you can afford it with all the incentives they're offering. Not that I want to rake home builders over the coals. I'm just saying if you're looking for a deal, I think it's a time for you to take a look at them. Just want to let you know that. Now, I'd like to point out that they don't always advertise those incentives. That sometimes they just let the salespeople know, and then they're just waiting for you to walk through. Another thing to know too is that if you're not being represented by a real estate agent that's a part of the community, they may not let you know of all the incentives that are available because they're not held to the same kind of standards as a licensed real estate agent is. But always check out what they have, see if they're incentivizing, see what's advertised, and get everything you can get right now, especially since the interest rates are high. See if you can get as many incentives as possible. 8%. Can you believe that? Do you think it's going to go higher than 8%? Or do you think it's going to drop before the election? I want to know. We should check this in a few months because all of this will be houses in less than 3 months. All of this. You used to be able to get those houses built even quicker because there was so much skilled labor. We're having a lot of issues, and it isn't just here in Louisiana. It's all over the country. They're just not finding as many skilled laborers that are able to build homes. When you talk to people, they say it's, because of the income that they make. When it comes to building homes, there's no pride in those type of jobs anymore. When they say that, construction people don't want to work, I'm not buying it. This is after 6 o'clock at night, and these guys are working their tails off. And how smart, because I don't know if you know this, in Louisiana, it's 1,000 degrees outside. Right now it's a little bit cooler. The sun's gone down. I got a little sweater on. They're working. They're working hard. But they took it all out of schools. This is one of those times we really can't blame the home builders for this specific problem because it happens to be very unique, and it isn't just the United States. There's just not as many people that are building houses or have an interest in plumbing, an interest in electricity, an interest in drafting and making plans for homes because they took it out of the high schools. This is a government thing. I know we hate it when it comes to this kind of stuff, but all of it's tied together. If we do not educate younger people to let them know that these are jobs that are available, secure jobs that will always be available to them, we're going to continue to have this problem all the way down the road. I'm a big supporter of bringing back vocational education when it comes to high schools. And with the fact of so many people being so incredibly scared of AI taking over their jobs, the one thing you can never do is take away a person's hands. But if you have any other ideas when it comes to getting more kids into the trades, put them in the comment section. It always stirs up a really good conversation. These are nice, right? I mean, that's a beautiful home. So this is way under the median price in the United States. I don't know if you know this. It's like $408,000. So if you're looking in Louisiana and you want an affordable home, look. We got right here. These are cute too. We're going to continue to have this problem all the way down the road into 2024, into 2025, if we don't increase the supply of homes available. I know that you've heard from the housing crash bros that there's going to be this huge housing crash. And the problem is, unless there is a mass layoff and it causes people to not be able to pay for their mortgages, we're not going to see an excess supply of homes. A lot of the people today are stuck in homes, and I say stuck loosely because they got themselves in an interest rate that was in the low twos. So why the heck would they ever sell their house? So they're not going to be putting their house on the market. And unless we incentivize home builders, they're not going to build houses. They haven't been feeling really good about the housing market with interest rates going up and so incredibly high. And if they continue to go up, we're going to see less supply of homes on the market. But in the meantime, we still have a bunch of people that do not want to rent anymore because rent continues to go up every single month because, again, there's a shrinkage of supply. And the landlords know this, so they keep increasing the rent, and they know that they have nowhere to go. And like I said, it's not the home builder's fault. It's not the landlord's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not the material cost fault, but we can fix it if we incentivize builders to do it. So now that you've seen all the numbers, do you still think that it's the builder's fault that there isn't enough affordable homes in the United States? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. To watch more videos about home building in the United States, you're going to want to watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.